Good morning, love. Once again, I can't let go of the toy. But today we're going to one of the coolest places here in Sao Paulo where I've been going for quite a while. Which naturally I don't know why is a cool, pleasant place very close to Paulista Avenue. It's a gathering that's been happening for quite a while now, and it's a strange feeling. Because I always went there with other cars. I went with a C10, I went with a Chrysler 300, I went many times with a Dodge, and I always went to see the galaxies, right? From the guys there, from the people. And today we're going with our own car. The weather isn't the best, but let's see what we find there to see by car. I think this little rain will stop soon. And one thing I wanted to ask you guys, is it really true what they say that this galaxy niche, does it exist? There's a story that people aren't very united, that the people with this car don't get along very well, that there's even a rivalry between them about this thing with the original car, the car this, the car that. Honestly, I don't know anything about this kind of talk, stories, gossip, or whining, because for me it's all new. That's the advantage of not being part of something, and I think that applies to me in this case. But I wanted to ask you guys, is there really this lack of unity among people who like this car? This has been going on for years, right? Collecting, who kept it, who didn't, who bought it now, who bought it before, who bought it later. Why is that? People became divided. By the way, another question. Do people need to be united just because they like the same car? That's actually a bit of a strange question, even from me, right? There needs to be unity. Those who are into Opala need to be united with others who are into Opala. That's how it is. It needs to be that way. For me, honestly, I think everyone should be free to like what they want and to join with whoever they get along with best. Regardless of the car, I have to hang out with people who like the same type of car as I do. That's why this club thing, for me, this and that, I don't know, man. This thing is a bit delicate, like, oh, you have to like this, you have to hang out with Fulano, you have to hang out with Ciclano, just because you like this. I wanted to hear from you, give me your opinion about this. What do you think about this club thing, about hanging out with people who have the same car? It doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to be united. There's no real rule here. What do you think about this, please? Let's see if I can get more opinions. That way, with more people commenting, we can read, understand, and know what you all think. Because maybe, over the years with the whole internet thing, it might have changed, right? The guy who collected cars 20 years ago might have a different mindset, a different idea today. But I've heard that before. It wasn't just once, and it wasn't just from one person. People have already told me that, the Galaxy crowd isn't organized. There's no club that does something for these cars to bring people together. I think the only name I know is the Galaxy Club, right? But I can't say anything about them because I don't know them. I don't know how it works. I'm not part of any club, not Dodge, not Chrysler, not Galaxy, not Beetle, not Combi. I don't know why. I'm not affiliated with anything. Like, that speaks for or openly defends just one type of car. I prefer to move around a bit of everything, I can't stick to just one thing. I used to be like that, and I'll tell you that. It's not that it's a bad experience. It's like if you don't stand up for the club you're in, if you don't defend that car or that brand, it feels like you're not worth much. So I end up feeling kind of pressured, and then I end up not wanting to participate as much. I like to be freer. And that's something personal to me, you know? I'm like that with almost everything. You see the places I go, I'm not very tied down. Even with the content here on YouTube itself, I like to move around different cities, states, places, people, garages. Of course, I have my preferences. But that's something personal, mine. If I were a little more closed off to a certain type of car or club, maybe the channel would even have more identity with a certain type of classic car and so on. I like V8S more, you know. Of course, I'm not really into engines, Volkswagens, AP engines and all that, so I end up filming them less. So I like V8S. I have that identity and all. But I'm not closed off to any club of any specific type, brand, or model. I don't see a problem with that. I'm not criticizing, but I feel like this club thing kind of holds us back a bit in that sense, you know? You kind of get stuck with just one type of car, especially for me, since I need to be in several places. And if you start not defending the club, if you don't participate, if you don't do the things the club expects you to do, you're not useful. I was kicked out, man. I was kicked out. I was kicked out of a group of people who like soul cars, and man, for something so silly, man. Something like that, but so childish, such a childish thing. I was kicked out of that group, and today, even back then, I already felt really proud of having been kicked out of that group. I was happy. I said, yes, I'm glad I was kicked out, really proud. And it was a big fuss when they kicked me out. Like, how crazy. It's absurd for someone to do that, to be part of a group and not do things. I said, man, and look, some guys older than me, you know, some old guys, man, acting so childish. One day I was having lunch with a friend, and this topic came up again. This was a long time ago, and this topic came up again. And I said, do you want to know about that group? From the beginning, I suspected that the whole thing wasn't really about cars. It wasn't about cars. It's about who has, who doesn't, who does what in the group, who has more power. You know, this thing like, oh, I'm the president, now I'm the president, and oh, this thing about having to wear the shirt, you have to go with the shirt, you have to participate, you have to. When you're in a club, you have to do this, have to do that, have to do that. Son, aren't you free? Isn't this your group? And sometimes I'm not that cool person, you know? Sometimes I would provoke just to see what would happen. And I would go there and post a picture that had nothing to do with the type of car. So, I don't know, this thing of being a fanboy, yeah, it never really sat well with me, you know? And so much so that not anymore. I'm not part of any, man, not any at all, really. And this specific group that I was kicked out of was, man, something. It really set off a warning for me, you know? I said, man, you need to be careful with this kind of thing, especially me, right? Since I have this somewhat public life. About the old cars that I need to do some work on, in favor of cars, in favor of using old cars, in favor of showing that old cars are, it's something that's still used, the old car that's still running among so many new cars. I said, I can't go around making enemies because I also need to defend this group. But some things happen like that to show us that there are people who aren't really after that. People just want to show that they want to be part of the club, to segregate, you know. So that kind of put me off, you know. So I keep a bit of distance from this thing where a lot of people are just talking about one thing, just defending it. Sorry, the image got a bit bad there, everyone. I don't know if I'm dragging this story out too much, but I'm sure that you who's watching this have already been through this. There was this one time, bro, I'm gonna tell this story. I arrived at an event and look how crazy it was. For some people, this might be normal, but for me, it's not normal. The guy showed up with his pickup truck. He and his wife, the wife was well dressed, a beautiful woman, a slightly older couple, you know. The guy went to park the car and he stopped his pickup truck amongst some other pickup trucks that were already parked, you know. He parked the pickup truck and then a guy came over and said, "You can't park here because this is where all the pickup trucks from this club are parked," and so on. You can park up there. Up there was really far from where everyone else was, you know? So, someone who doesn't know what's going on, they send the event guest, who may be even paid to be there, to a spot way up there far from everyone else. The guy moved the truck, you know? His wife got back into the truck so he could find another parking spot. And he was kind of kicked out of that event space to park somewhere else. And I kept analyzing that whole scene. I said, man, is this right? The guy being forced to move his car from there, his wife. He spent the whole week convincing his wife to go to the event with him, to sleep in another city. Usually wives, man, they even like it, but come on, they don't want to keep looking at the car, so she goes because her husband asked her to, and then the guy is forced to move his car from there, you know, left off to the side because he's not part of a club. He paid the event registration. Then he had to carry his bag, his wife's bag, walk down the hill from the farthest parking spot because someone told him to move from that spot. Right there, man. Man, that was shocking to me. I said, look, see how this club thing is a bit delicate, man. Then you start thinking and you say, damn, is it fair to do this to someone who loves the car just as much? And what if he's not part of any club? The guy works hard all week. He's not part of anything, but he wants to be there. Watch out for the curve. Hey, look, hey, I'm going to lose the hubcaps here. I kept thinking about that, you know. I said, man, what if this woman looks and says, damn, my husband has no respect at all. She came here, told them to take it out, paid the registration. And what if she goes up to him and says, hey, Benet, why couldn't you go there? The guy can't explain the situation. I'm against that, you know, of showing up at events. You can't just stop wherever you want being kicked out. I don't think that's cool to do. I don't agree with it. I never will. I stopped here. Imagine if the guy stops and says, hey man, I'm going to stop here and that's it. Call whoever you want. I'm not leaving. I paid the registration just like you. Imagine that. Then it turns into a mess, an argument. Why? Because the guys are saving spots for the club. And my expulsion from this club was pretty much because of that. Man, I thought it was absurd, really absurd, something that we as older people shouldn't even be dealing with anymore. Unity, disunity, a united group that does this helps, doesn't help. This thing about events causes a lot of confusion in that sense, really a lot. You know, you go and organize an event. Then there's the club that thinks it needs 500 spots reserved just for them because they're the club. I don't know what. They bring, I don't know how many cars, man. That's a lot. It's a bit tricky to show you guys a little bit of the city here. Enough of this whining, all this complaining. The rain has stopped, the ground is dry. Let's go check out some old cars over there. What I was gonna tell you about the car, I forgot, man. And yesterday we were with Bolero, going for a ride. Man, we broke the car's exhaust, putting it back at home, man. I felt really bad. Me and Rafael, who I now call my mechanic, I felt really bad. Man, the exhaust broke. I know you just have to weld it there and all, but man, it was something that was there. It was in the car. It was working. The Bolero is full of problems. And now we found another little problem for it. Look, how fancy, how delicate here. Look, it's like you're driving a Galaxy. Look, just with your fingertips, man, what other car can you drive like this? Look, the automatic transmission. I've been in third gear since I left home. I'm about to cross Paulista Avenue here. Look, always in third gear. This car just goes, it lives in third gear. Look, the correction of, look, how am I gonna come? Look, how am I gonna bring the car here? Look. If it were with the C10, I'd be sweating, and with the Dodge 2, I'd already be sweating from driving the car. Oh, now, just because he's got a Galaxy, he's going to start talking bad about the other cars he used to have. Oh, we're all about oil, huh? Dripping oil just for fun. I'm dying to take the big Dodge out for a spin again to feel what it's like.